Part 7. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 61. Chapter 61 Whitewashing. Zhang Ziluo said softly, "In this case, my father will also be very happy." She hoped in her heart that her parents could earn copper coins, save up silver, and live a better life. Kui Hejin looked at Zhang Ziluo's crooked eyebrows and smiled, and his cold eyes seemed to be dyed with a gentle color. Mrs. Kui looked at the two people calmly, feeling much better than before. The newlyweds may not be familiar with each other at first, but she feels that as they stay together for a longer time, they will naturally become closer. Mrs. Kui thought that maybe she would have a grandchild soon. Mrs. Kui Lofu added, "Ziluo, you and Hejin are husband and wife. If you need anything, just ask him directly. When I was in the capital before, Hejin read a lot of books since he was a child. He also went on study tours when he was young and knew some things." Zhang Ziluo became curious when she heard about the study tour. She looked at Kui Hejin with curious eyes. Is study tour similar to tourism in the technological age? Zhang Ziluo was a little curious, but she still endured it and didn't ask any more questions. Just like on the edge of the cliff in the forest, he seemed to have saved her by hitting the snake 7 inches with something. She also had doubts in her heart, but she didn't ask any more questions. They all have secrets from each other. Mrs. Kui looked at Zhang Ziluo busy burning firewood, and hurried over and said, "Ziluo, you have been busy all day, and you must be tired. It's better for me to light the fire." "Mom, it's okay, I'll boil the pot in a moment, put some firewood on it and let it burn by itself, then I'll go to bed." Zhang Ziluo is indeed a little tired, but the current conditions at home do not allow her to take a good rest. She needs to earn money quickly so that she can buy land to build a house and land to grow food, vegetables, and fruits. After building a house, the space will be larger and more comfortable. She really wanted to have a study room where she could read and write, and she also wanted to have a special bathroom where she could wash and take a shower. It would be really inconvenient to wash up here at Zayaka at night. Yards are also simple small courtyards with fences, and there is no way to build a side room. There was a pine oil candle burning in the room, and Zhang Ziluo pulled the bellows time and time again, feeling a little weak and sleepy. Kui Hejin saw Zhang Ziluo rubbing her eyes vigorously and sighed inwardly. She walked over and squatted down, holding down the handle of the bellows and saying, "Let me finish my work early and rest early." Zhang Ziluo's fingers accidentally touched Kui Hejin's fingertips, and her hand was shocked and let go slightly. She turned her head and met Kui Hejin's eyes. At this time, the two people were very close to each other, and there was an attractive and stubborn look in his eyes. Zhang Ziluo's eyes trembled, her heart skipped a beat uncontrollably, and she couldn't resist, so she hurriedly avoided his sight. "Well, you can help me light the fire first." Zhang Ziluo also understood Kui Hejin's eyes just now. He probably wouldn't go to rest alone until he was done with his work. Zhang Ziluo hurriedly started making braised pig meat. When it is stewed, it will feel relaxed. "That's good. Just put a few more firewood and the firewood will light itself at the mouth of the stove. As soon as the small door of the stove is closed, the firewood will burn inside. It will burn slower, but it will be enough to simmer for a few hours." The family washed up and went to bed. After Zhang Ziluo lay on the bed, her tense body relaxed slightly. Perhaps she was really too tired. After lying down, she fell asleep directly. Kui Hejin couldn't sleep when he lay down. "I wanted to say something, but when I heard my little wife's shallow breathing, I knew she was tired and fell asleep." Kui Hejin turned sideways slightly and saw her sleeping soundly through the moonlight shining through the window lattice. Her appearance is extremely beautiful, with a pure and earthly aura, but when she smiles at night, she looks like a burning camellia. Her black and soft black hair was spread on the pillow. Perhaps because she was a little restless in her sleep, she moved slightly, and the quilt was pulled apart a little, revealing the fat and ice muscles of her collarbone. Hair and skin form the ultimate visual impact of black and white. A dark color flashed across Kui Hejin's deep and picturesque eyes. He gently reached out his hand, pulled the quilt up for her, gently tucked the corners of the quilt for her, then turned around and lay down while avoiding his eyes. Just after a long time, Kui Hejin still couldn't sleep, and there seemed to be a girl's fragrance lingering in her breath. Have a good night's sleep. It was dark the next day, and Zhang Ziluo woke up early. She wants to scoop out the braised meat and make a box of leeks so that she can fry them directly when she goes to town. Zhang Ziluo got up very early. When she was going to the fields, she naturally had to pass by Kui Hejin. She moved very gently, approaching the bed as usual. But she forgot that her foot was sprained last night, so when her foot hurt, she staggered before she could stand, and was about to fall down. Even though Zhang Ziluo was very careful, she still had to fall to the ground. Kui Hejin was actually sleeping very lightly. He seemed to feel something. He quickly sat up and put his arms around Zhang Ziluo to protect her. But at the same time, Zhang Ziluo also fell into Kui Hejin's arms. A faint fragrance suddenly surged up in my nose. Yes, I'm sorry, I really didn't mean it. The same was true last night. Kui Hejin would never suspect that she always wanted to seize the opportunity to throw herself into her arms. She really didn't. At this moment, Zhang Ziluo felt like crying. She raised her head and looked at Kui Hejin pitifully with watery eyes, just to make him believe that she was innocent. Kui Hejin is still holding Zhang Ziluo's waist at this moment. With the warm fragrant nephrite in her arms in the morning, Kui Hejin's eyes darkened, seeming to have a thrilling and magnificent color. Kui Hejin's throat rolled, and he said in a hoarse voice, "It's okay, you get up first." Listening to Kui Hejin's cold tone, Zhang Ziluo nodded obediently and said, "Yeah, okay." Then she hurriedly got up and got off the ground, not caring whether her hands and feet were in the wrong position when using them together. She felt like she was running away. Kui Hejin's long and helpless sigh sounded in the room. When Zhang Ziluo got up and washed her face, she splashed cold water on her face, which made her feel a little more awake, and her face seemed less hot. Thinking that her hands seemed to be pressing on his chest and sitting on him just now, although she was not sure and even thought it might be an illusion, she wanted to find a hole in the ground and crawl into it. It must be an illusion. Zhang Ziluo squatted in the corner washing leeks, wishing she could put her head into the basin again to wash it. Kui Hejin, don't you think I have any undue thoughts about him? Hey, I can't clear myself up. Thinking of the first few words Kui Hejin said, she still vowed that nothing would happen. He probably doesn't believe her anymore. Perhaps because of that life, Zhang Ziluo couldn't care less about Kui Hejin's opinion of her. Ziluo, what are you talking about to clear yourself up? When Zhang Ziluo was struggling, a voice suddenly sounded in her ears. Zhang Ziluo was frightened. Ah! Be careful, your feet are not good, so don't fall. Mrs. Kui hurriedly supported Zhang Ziluo. End of this chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fengyuan Candy. Chapter 62. Chapter 62 Care. Zhang Ziluo almost jumped up in shock. She was so distracted just now that she didn't notice anyone approaching. Mom, why did you wake up so early? Mrs. Kui said, didn't you say yesterday that you would set up a food stall today? I just thought that you would get up early and be busy, so I just got up to help you. Zhang Ziluo didn't expect Mrs. Kui to get up so early to help her. Sleep very late last night. Calculating the time, they slept for a total of 2 hours, which was 4 hours. Mom, actually I can do it myself. It's early and there's still time. How can I let you work hard alone? I naturally woke up in the morning anyway and couldn't fall asleep. I just got up to do something. Mrs. Kui actually just wanted to help Ziluo, but she didn't want her to have any psychological burden. Zhang Ziluo understood, so she felt warm in her heart. Kui Hejin originally got up and wanted to come out of the house, but realized that his wife would be a little uncomfortable, so he didn't go out so early. Soon, Mrs. Kui and Zhang Ziluo started working together. Knead the dough and prepare the leek filling. But while she was busy, Mrs. Kui seemed to have thought of something and said, "Ziluo, what did you just say about washing it? Is there something dark about the clothes that has not been washed? She washed clothes at noon yesterday. Could it be that she didn't wash them well?" The corner of Zhang Ziluo's mouth twitched and she said, "No, mother, don't think too much about it. I just said that the thin noodles are very white." "Yes, let's talk about fine noodles." Mrs. Kui didn't doubt anything and didn't ask any more questions. Zhang Ziluo breathed a sigh of relief. Zhang Ziluo didn't know that when she was muttering to herself just now, although her voice was not loud, Kui Hejin still accidentally heard her. Soon, Zhang Ziluo and Mrs. Kui made leek cakes together. While Zhang Ziluo was immersed in busy work, Kui Hejin came out of the house and washed up. He is wearing plain white clothes today, and he looks like a orchid or jade tree, pure and noble. After Zhang Ziluo and Mrs. Kui finished their work, Kui Hejin helped light the fire and make breakfast. The family had breakfast. Zhang Ziluo and Mrs. Kui put everything on the small dining cart and prepared to push the dining cart to the town. Zhang Ziluo is ready to limp even if her feet are not good. But the concoction I applied yesterday worked and my feet no longer hurt, but I still felt a little awkward walking. She thought to herself that it would probably take a few days before she would be completely fine. After everything was put away, Mrs. Kui said to Kui Hejin before going out, "You have to rest at home first, and then go to the school when class starts. Ziluo and I will set up the morning stall first. The chive boxes they have are delicious for breakfast and lunch." Since she followed Zhang Ziluo in the brown sugar business for a period of time, Mrs. Kui is no longer worried about going to town to sell things. Anyway, with Ziluo's ability, things can definitely be sold. Moreover, no one has ever seen or eaten leeks. She felt it was very delicious when she ate it. Even compared with some delicacies in the capital, it had a unique and delicious taste. I believe most people will also find it delicious. Kui Hejin King Grunt said, "Mom, I will go to town with you." Mrs. Kui was stunned and asked instinctively, "Aren't the school's classes not so early?" It was just dawn now, and they went to the morning market in the town. It was almost dawn, and it was also the time when everyone went out to the morning market to buy food. So they had to go early. It was still more than an hour before Kui Hejin usually went out. The school starts very late. If you go early, the door won't be open. But generally Kui Hejin will read books and organize lesson plans early. Kui Hejin lowered his head and glanced at Zhang Ziluo's feet, and said softly, "I have something to do in school today and I have to go early." Mrs. Kui looked at her son's expression and saw where his eyes fell. Her expression moved and she understood instantly. She hurriedly said, "Okay, school matters are also important. We have had breakfast anyway, and you have nothing to do at home. Come with us. By the way, you can help us push the dining cart, Ziluo's feet are not good." Zhang Ziluo was stunned. How could Kui Hejin help push the dining cart in such a short time? Actually, you don't need it, the small dining cart is not heavy. In fact, the main reason is that it has a strong braised flavor, and a large wooden barrel has a braised flavor. Of course, the wooden barrel was a clean one. It was used to hold water. She washed it twice and prepared it to hold marinated food. It is not the wooden barrel that used to hold pig water. Zhang Ziluo has very high requirements for the cleanliness of food. Although Zhang Ziluo said no, Kui Hejin still stepped forward to help push the small dining cart. On the other hand, Zhang Ziluo felt much more relaxed, even though their Donghe village was not far from the town, and it took almost 2/4 of an hour to walk, which was more than half an hour. But my feet are not good, so walking with things is quite hard. This will be much easier. Zhang Ziluo walked behind and looked at Kui Hejin's figure, thoughtfully. More than half an hour later, they arrived in the town. Kui Hejin sent them all the way to the morning market. Zhang Ziluo waved her hand to Kui Hejin and said, "Didn't you say there is something going on in the school? Go to the school quickly and don't delay things." Kui Hejin looked at the hustle and bustle of the morning market and said nothing. At this moment, there was an ant next to her who was holding a basket and hurriedly pushed forward, almost squeezing Zhang Ziluo. Kui Hejin stretched out his hand to gently block the lady from hitting Zhang Ziluo. In fact, with Zhang Ziluo's skills, if she wanted to avoid being hit, she could do it. But the morning market was crowded with people, which was unavoidable. She didn't care at first, but she didn't expect Kui Hejin to protect her. Zhang Ziluo's eyelashes trembled. Was he protecting her? Or is it just that he had a very good upbringing since he was a child, and he just did this instinctively? Zhang Ziluo raised her head and looked at Kui Hejin. When Kui Hejin lowered his head, he happened to meet her clean and clear eyes. Her eyes are extremely beautiful, and when they blink, they are full of energy, as if they can speak. Kui Hejin's expression paused slightly, and there seemed to be a bright moonlight hidden in his eyes, which was charming and charming. "You have bad feet, be careful." "Oh, it's okay, I'm not that squeamish. Compared to the injuries I sustained during training in my previous life, this foot injury is nothing." If Kui Hejin hadn't reminded her, she would have almost forgotten. Kui Hejin was very helpless. This girl didn't know how to take care of herself at all. He whispered, "Don't get hurt again." Just when Zhang Ziluo was about to say something, she heard an old woman say happily, "Oh, girl, you are here. Auntie. This aunt is the one who won the lottery yesterday when I bought her maltos." "Girl, are you still selling maltos today?" "Auntie, we are not selling maltos today, we are selling leek boxes." "What is a leek box? Hey, why do I smell something so fragrant, like meat?" Zhang Ziluo patiently replied, "Madam, the leek box is similar to the pie, but it has a unique taste. I also brought braised food this morning. You are a regular customer. If you buy it, I will give you some more. If you don't buy it, you can also try it." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 63. Chapter 63 Goodwill. When the old woman heard this, her eyes, which were originally small, narrowed into slits. She said with a smile, "Oh, girl, you are not only beautiful but also kind-hearted. I like to buy your things. By the way, come here, there is a stall over here. You are in the right spot. If you come late, there will be no space over here." The old woman lives near the morning market. She often comes here to buy groceries on weekdays. She also knows the situation in the morning market very well. "Then thank you, Auntie." "Oh, you're welcome, mostly hello, little girl. You said you are so beautiful, are you engaged?" The more the old woman looked at the little girl, the more satisfied she became. She felt that this girl looked to be 14 or 15 years old, and she might be old enough to have haircuts. Her grandson was already married, but her nephew was just 16 years old. Zhang Ziluo's face felt a little hot, thinking of Kui Hejin next to her. She took a careful look at him and saw that there was nothing unusual about his expression, so she hurriedly said, "Auntie, I'm already married." The old woman still looked regretful. "Ah, they are all married. My nephew from my mother's side is also a very talented person." Zhang Ziluo said no more. In fact, if Kui Hejin was not around, the lady would not feel uncomfortable saying this. But Kui Hejin was right next to him. But he probably doesn't mind or care. Mrs. Kui was relieved. Sure enough, her Zhiluo family is so good that others can see it. She couldn't help but look at Kui Hejin sadly and said, Zhiluo's feet are uncomfortable, support her with your hands. Mrs. Kui wished she could help her son put her hand on Zhang Zhiluo's and declare her sovereignty to the people around her. I want to emphasize that this is theirs, theirs. At this moment, the woman who Zhang Zhiluo had rescued the family yesterday saw Zhang Zhiluo and excitedly waved to her, girl benefactor. Zhang Zhiluo heard the sound, looked over, smiled and nodded to Ding Zhuang and his wife. Girl benefactor, we have taken a place next to you, come over here. They were grateful to Zhang Zhiluo and felt friendly when they saw Zhang Zhiluo. Furthermore, they feel that the benefactor girl is so powerful, and with her by their side, they feel safe in their hearts. Kui Hejin looked at his mother with a faint look. Mrs. Kui was also confused. I don't know anything, why is everyone looking at Zhiluo so excited? And call me a benefactor? Not only Ding Zhuang and his wife, many people were willing to move to the side and squeeze out a place in the middle for Zhang Zhiluo. Zhang Zhiluo felt grateful, found a relatively empty spot, and said to Mrs. Kui, Mom, it's convenient for us to set up a stall here. Zhang Zhiluo is worried that there will be people queuing up again, so don't queue up to block the stall next to her and affect other people's business. She is not a good person, but these simple people show kindness to her, and she is willing to show kindness to them. Kui Hejin did almost nothing. Zhang Zhiluo and Mrs. Kui had already taken their positions, with the cart in front of them. Zhang Zhiluo waved to Kui Hejin and said, Husband, we are fine. You go to the school first. Zhang Zhiluo looked like she was about to get started and didn't want Kui Hejin to stand in the way and affect the business. Mrs. Kui quickly helped to add a few words, Zhiluo, I'm afraid you will be tired. Mrs. Kui also thought that with Zhiluo here, there would be no problem with business. However, her son standing here would look good, but it would disturb other people. I didn't see him. He was just standing next to him. The women were stunned when they looked at him, and they didn't dare to approach him. Everybody murmured a few words, there is such a good-looking young man in the morning market. He is as tall as a jade tree. Is he a real person? How do you say something? Don't write the whole word Zozo, he just looks so good that he doesn't look like a mortal. Be careful not to bump into others. Everyone felt that this young man was so good-looking, as if there was a wall between him and ordinary people, and they automatically did not dare to touch him. Kui Hejin glanced at Zhang Zhiluo and realized that his little wife seemed to have forgotten him. She was concentrating on taking things up from the dining cart. Kui Hejin was worried that the barrel was heavy and she couldn't lift it, so she stepped forward to help pick it up. Zhang Zhiluo said, I can really do it? I'm not that delicate. Just go and do your work. Kui Hejin's lips curved slightly, and he said warmly, then I'll go to the school first. If you have anything, go to the school to find me. Zhang Zhiluo waved her hand in a perfunctory manner, okay. She was looking down at things, worried about squeezing the leak box, so she didn't raise her head. After Kui Hejin left, several women hurriedly gathered around him. Miss Zhang, what's so delicious about your stall? The girl said it's braised food. My little lady can also make braised meat, is it braised pork? Everyone bought maltos yesterday, and it was really delicious when I went back and tasted it. And it's really appetizing for children to eat. In addition, the way Zhang Zhiluo saved people yesterday made everyone admire her, so they were also willing to patronize her stall. At first, everyone didn't smell much, but when Zhang Zhiluo opened the lid a little, the fragrance suddenly became stronger. Everyone is even more curious about what it is. Zhang Zhiluo didn't say anything, she just scooped out a piece, cut it on the plate and said, everyone can taste it for free with a wooden skewer. Is there a free tasting? It's still the same as yesterday. Is there still a lottery? Those who have won prizes are still thinking about being able to draw prizes. Zhang Ziluo said, it's all a small business. If everything is taken away by everyone in the lottery, we won't be able to set up a stall to do business, so I hope all the aunties will take care of the business. You can try it for free first, and then buy it if you think it's delicious. If the food is delicious, you can't be deceived. Zhang Ziluo came here not only to sell braised food, but mainly to sell chive boxes. She said to Mrs. Kui, Mom, let's fry the leek box. Okay, Mother, come and light the fire. In the morning, Zhang Ziluo told Mrs. Kui how to use the small dining car. It's very simple. There is a special small stove below to burn firewood, and the small pot above will heat up, which is convenient for frying the leek boxes. Zhang Ziluo poured oil into the pot, took out the leek box and put it in the pot to fry. In this way, when everyone tastes braised food for free, the fried chives box with Zhang Ziluo will also allow everyone to see and smell the chives box. Everyone will think about buying something when they smell the fragrance. Little lady, your braised food is so delicious. What on earth is it? It's so fragrant. Oh, it's delicious, it's really delicious. I want to buy some. My family will definitely like it. I bought braised pork before, and when I compare it with this one, the taste is huge. No, this is so delicious. After eating this, I feel that the braised food I bought before tastes a bit ordinary. End of this chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 64. Everyone ate the braised meat and said it was delicious. The taste is really unique, with a hint of spiciness, but at a level of spiciness that everyone can accept, which makes everyone feel so delicious. Curious about what they are made of. Zhang Ziluo was worried that everyone would not be able to accept braised pigs in the water, so she cut them thinly at first. There is no explanation of what it is at the beginning. But let everyone taste it first, let more people taste it first. There are many people waiting to taste it, so let's talk about what it is. She is busy frying the leek box now. Mrs. Kui doesn't know much about business. In the past, when I was in the Marquis mansion, I would at most let my confidant nanny arrange for people to help manage the store. So at this moment, Mrs. Kui didn't say anything, she just helped to light the fire silently. She knew that Ziluo knew what she said and did when doing business. She was worried that she might say the wrong thing and affect Ziluo's arrangements. Little lady, how do you sell this? We all thought that it was meat after all and it tasted so delicious. We asked how much it cost. As long as it was not too expensive, we decided to buy a pound or two of it and take it home to try it. Yes, little girl, how do you sell this? The food is delicious, but the price should be cheaper. Yes, we bought your maltos yesterday. If you make it cheaper and you set up a stall, we will come here often to buy things. Everyone asked questions in a hurry. Zhang Ziluo will tell everyone first, I am a braised pig, and I pay 29 cents per catty. What, a pig in the water? The price of a pig in water is 29 cents per catty. Everyone looked shocked when they heard that it was a pig entering the water. It's true that everyone didn't expect the food to be so delicious. If we knew from the beginning that it was a pig entering the water, we might not even taste it. But after actually tasting it, I realized that this thing is really delicious. I just didn't expect that such a delicious thing could be made from pig waste. Everyone knows that pig excrement can be eaten, but the smell is too weird and most people won't eat it. It's not that I object to eating this, it's just that I'm too shocked. Girl, you're such a expensive pig. Zhang Ziluo smiled tenderly from beginning to end. After hearing that everyone thought it was expensive, she explained, Auntie, the reason why I can make this taste is because I use a secret recipe at home. The seasonings used are expensive, Otherwise the food can be so good. Eat. 29 cents is already considered cheap. Everyone can taste meat and eat well. And my braised soup is the essence. If you buy it, I will scoop up the braised soup for you for free. The rice soaked in the braised soup is also very fragrant. Everyone knows that when I set up a stall to do business, I mainly want everyone to eat the food I buy and feel comfortable. It's still the same old rule. Everyone can taste it for free. If you taste it, buy it. If it doesn't taste good, it doesn't matter if you don't buy it. If Zhang Ziluo persuades everyone to buy it, some people will not want to buy it. The more Zhang Ziluo talked like this, the more everyone felt that it was difficult for the little girl, so they wanted to buy it back and eat it. It's really delicious, and compared to the price of braised pork, it's really half the price. The key point is that stewed soup is indeed a good thing. The braised pork sold at the meat counter at the market over there cost 60 cents per catty. It was not cheap at all when I bought it, and they didn't provide braised pork soup. You have to spend extra money to buy soup. Look at the little girls doing business, it's just different. A young woman said, "Girl, please give me 2 kilograms first. I bought your maltos yesterday. I went back and gave one to my son yesterday. He ate a whole bowl of rice at night. He didn't even eat it before. No matter how you eat, I think your maltos is really appetizing." The little woman was very happy. Whatever the reason, it was a good thing that her son was willing to eat. She has some business at home and the conditions are good. Although she is used to budgeting carefully, she is really willing to buy more when she encounters good things. Besides, her man has a hard time delivering goods, so when she encounters something delicious, she naturally wants to buy it back for her man to try. Zhang Ziluo happily weighed the little woman 2 pounds, gave a little more, and scooped up a large box of braised soup. "Thank you very much. Since I was the first one to buy it, I weighed 2 more taels for you." The little woman naturally saw the compliment just now and smiled with satisfaction. "Thank you very much." There is a herd mentality when buying things. When everyone sees others buying, they will feel less hesitant. Indeed, it seems that her maltos is expensive for a reason. I ate a piece of maltos yesterday and I felt my appetite improved. It's delicious, but it's not that magical. Whether you believe it or not, I kind of believe it. I think the things made by the lady are good. That's right, they saved people yesterday. A girl who can risk her own life to help others must be a good girl, and the things she sells must be good. Some people support Zhang Ziluo, and they also think braised food is delicious, so some buy 1 catty, some buy 2 catties, and some buy half a catty. Zhang Ziluo weighed the pot while looking at it, while Mrs. Kui lit the fire and collected the copper coins. The two of them have sold brown sugar together before, and they have developed a tacit understanding, so they work together very well. When the leek box is almost cooked, the fragrance will come out. Some people thought braised food was expensive and were reluctant to buy it. When they were about to leave, they suddenly saw a box of leeks. "Little lady, whatever you fry is so delicious." Zhang Ziluo said, "This is a leek box. It is made from a new kind of vegetable, leek. It is something that everyone in it is not common and probably has never eaten. There is also an egg in it. It will be fried in a while. Let's have a taste." When Zhang Ziluo said this, everyone immediately became interested. He paused as he was about to walk out, but continued to look. A few people came around the stall here from time to time. After the leek box was fried, Zhang Ziluo scooped it out with a shovel, wrapped it in clean gauze, cut a few pieces and put them on the plate, and still let everyone taste them for free. Free tasting, no one will refuse it. Everyone stretched out their hands quickly and cut 8 small pieces, all of which were taken away at once. Those who are slow will not get it. "Oh, you guys are queuing up, how come you can get it so fast?" The woman who was shouting stamped her feet. Everyone didn't care and took a big mouthful directly into their mouths. This meal, let alone, I was really conquered by the delicious food. Delicious. What kind of vegetable is this? Why is it so delicious? We often buy all kinds of things here. We buy many kinds of vegetables, but we have never tasted anything like this. It's really delicious. Some people were excited and praised, and some people didn't say anything after eating, and hurriedly said, "Little girl, what kind of leeks are you?" "Yes, a leek box. How much does it cost?" Zhang's Hiluo said, 3 cents each. 3 pennies a tin is considered cheap for those who often come to the market to buy things. Although a steamed bun with vegetarian fillings only costs 3 cents a piece, you will still have enough if you eat steamed buns every day. They also make steamed buns on weekdays, but they have never eaten this leek box. End of chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fengyuan Candy. Chapter 65. The woman who asked the price quickly said, "Girl, I'll buy it." Her family has 3 children, so she has to buy at least 8 to give them a taste of the good stuff. To her, spending 24 cents on 8 boxes of leeks was nothing. When she heard 8 of them, Mrs. Kui's hands stopped when she scooped up the stewed soup. She knew that some people would find the leeks box delicious, but she didn't expect that someone would buy 8 of them as soon as they came out. Zhang's Hiluo smiled and said, "Okay, it will be fried soon." Zhang's Hiluo flipped the leek boxes back and forth in the pot, and soon the 8 leek boxes were fried. Zhang's Hiluo wrapped the woman in oil paper and handed it to her. The woman also paid 24 cents. Mrs. Kui helped collect the copper coins, and she was very excited when she heard the collision sound in her hands. "Put the copper coins in the money bag." The sound of the copper coins clattering against each other makes people feel good. Mrs. Kui had a smile on her face and shouted helpfully, "The fragrant and delicious leek box, the braised meat is better than the braised pork head, everyone come and take a look." Many people don't want to buy anything. They heard that they can taste it for free, and they are willing to come and join in the fun. Looking at the excitement, it is even more obvious that there are many people in front of the stall. When someone comes over with a basket and sees the people here, he is willing to come over and take a look. There are so many people in front of this stall, which means the stuff must be good. Let's go over and take a look. Yes, if the food is good, you can buy some and try it. It was braised pork meat just now. I don't know what it tastes like. My parents like to eat braised pig head meat. My son and I also like to eat it. We can try it later. If it tastes good and the price is reasonable, we can buy some back. What did you say about the leek box? What is that? I've never heard of it, but seeing the number of people queuing up to buy it means it's a good thing. At this time, someone also came out from the front buying boxes of leeks. "Mom, I want to eat." "Okay, take this and eat it, be careful not to burn it." The 8-year-old boy happily took it in his hand and took a bite without caring about the burn. Every bite is very crispy. He took 2 bites, showed an intoxicated look, and said excitedly to his mother, "Mom, you can eat too, it's delicious." The little boy's father is very busy on weekdays, so his mother takes care of him personally. She also takes him with her when she goes to the morning market in the morning. The woman was even happier when she saw her son's happy face than when she ate it herself. "It's okay, Mom is not hungry now, you can eat." The mother-in-law saw that her son liked to eat it, but she was reluctant to take a bite. The little boy didn't quite understand what the adults were thinking, so he happily continued eating. When the people who came around saw the scene and saw how happy the child was eating, they couldn't help but swallow their saliva. It was just dawn, and most of the people who came out to buy things in the morning market had not eaten breakfast, so they were not so resistant to the aroma of food. Some people feel hungry when they smell the fragrance. Some people originally thought about buying some ingredients to cook home, but they thought that if there is something delicious, it is not impossible to buy some ready-made food to take home. It's just that they live in the town and buy things all year round. They know what delicious food is sold at the nearby stalls and often buy it. After eating it too many times, no matter how delicious the food is, it feels a little boring. Of course, I also want to eat some fresh and delicious food. It looks delicious. My mouth is watering just looking at it. It looks really delicious. This is the latest food. It should be. I have never heard of the name leek. Oh, I've lived here for decades, and I've bought all the delicious food around me. After eating it too many times, I feel tired and want to eat something fresh. No, I used to think the steamed buns from Linji Steamed Bun Shop were delicious. After I ate too many of them, I didn't want to buy any more. The dim sum at Lioji Dim Sum Shop is so delicious. I've eaten it many times, but I'm not too greedy. Even though my son and daughter are still young, they feel fresh when they eat it, so they clamor to buy it every time. The women who spoke were all from nearby families with good conditions. Those ordinary farmers or poor families in the town are reluctant to buy even steamed buns, let alone other things. Fortunately, their Baining town is close to the dock, with convenient transportation and many merchant ships coming and going. As a result, the entire Baining town is very prosperous and has a large population. Many families in the town have good business conditions. So there are many people going shopping on weekdays. As long as the goods are good, business is relatively easy to do. The people coming from behind moved to the front and said, "Little lady, bring me 2 boxes of leeks first, but how do you sell this braised food?" Even if some people know the price, they always ask Mrs. Kui and Zhangziluo again, for fear of getting the price wrong. Even if it is a penny cheaper, it is still a penny. Zhangziluo was busy making leek boxes, and Mrs. Kui smiled and replied patiently, "The braised meat is 29 cents per catty. You can taste it for free first, and then buy it if you like it." Is braised food so cheap? When the woman heard this, she was very excited. Her son likes to eat braised pork, and every few days she will buy a pound or 2 for him to eat. She knows the price of braised pork in the whole town. Not many companies can make braised pork. The meat stall at the market makes delicious braised pork, but it costs 60 yuan per pound. Mediocre braised pork with that kind of flavor costs at least 50 cents per catty. She must have heard wrong about the price of more than 20 pennies per catty. The most important thing is that it tastes so delicious. Her eyes shone with excitement, but she held back her expression in order to negotiate the price. Mrs. Kui said, "Ours is made of pig offal, but there are many kinds of seasonings, some of which are medicinal materials. Eating it is good for the body." Now Mrs. Kui can also speak. But what she said was right. Zhiluo said that some of those spices are actually medicinal materials, and they are expensive. There are 2 spices, Zhiluo was bought at the drugstore. People here don't know much about medicinal materials, and they think they are expensive when they hear about them. It's really delicious. Give me 3 kilos. No, buy 2 kilos first. I will give my son a taste first when I get home. I don't know if my son will eat it when he hears a pig going into the water. She thinks it tastes good anyway. Even if her son doesn't eat it, she will eat it too. She thinks the price is very reasonable. But if the price is not discussed, the woman will feel uncomfortable. You see, I bought 2 kilograms at once, and I also bought this box of leeks from you. Make it cheaper. If it's cheaper, I'll come to buy it often. There was no need for Zhangziluo to say anything at this moment. Mrs. Kui just said what Zhangziluo said at the beginning, "You see, we are also a small business, and we use all good ingredients. Eggs are also added to the leek boxes. I will give you the braised food. I'll order the weighing, and I'll scoop you some stew, and it'll be more than 1 or 2 pennies." When the woman heard this, a smile appeared on her face. That's okay. She knew in her heart that the stewed soup, steamed buns, and soaked rice could be eaten directly as a meal. The meat stall at the market sells braised pig head meat, which is not cheap at all. You have to pay extra for the braised soup. But their food is indeed delicious, so they don't have to worry about selling it, and naturally it's not cheap either. This family is still good at business, and the business seems to be good, but they are willing to give them some braised soup. End of chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fengyuan Candy. Chapter 66. In this way, Mrs. Kui and Zhang Ziluo cooperated, and the business was good. Even the two of them were very busy, their hands were constantly moving, and they had to answer everyone's questions from time to time. Because people will keep asking about the price, almost the same words have to be repeated several times. The two of them were too busy to take a sip of water. But they didn't bring enough firewood, so Zhang Ziluo took out 10 cents and asked Mrs. Kui to buy 3 bundles of firewood. In the middle of the morning, all the boxes of leeks that Zhang Ziluo and Mrs. Kui packed in the morning were sold. However, only half of the braised pig water was sold, and there was still half a barrel. Mrs. Kui said, "Ziluo, we packed more than 200 boxes of leeks this morning." Mrs. Kui calculated in her mind that it was more than 600 yuan, not counting the money earned from braised pigs. It feels easier and simpler than making brown sugar and maltose to sell. It costs a lot to make brown sugar maltose. Brown sugar requires buying so many beets, peeling, cutting and boiling them, which is very time consuming. But making a leek box is easy and costs almost nothing. The leeks are grown in the family's vegetable plot, and the eggs are also laid by the family's chickens. And a pot of leeks only contains a few eggs, not one egg in a leek box. The key is to make the leek box in just a while, saving time and effort. It only took a moment, and they were all sold. Just thinking about it made Mrs. Kui feel hot. If we do more of this, will we sell more? Zhang Ziluo smiled and said, "It is really simple and easy, and the cost is low, so I thought that from now on we will still set up a stall to do food business, and we will not do the brown sugar maltose business. Eating well and having enough food is everyone's most basic desire." At this time, some people came over and asked, "Does your stall sell chive boxes?" "Right." "Oops, I found a spot, I'll buy 10. "I'll buy 5. Zhang Ziluo said, "I'm sorry, ladies, the leek box has been sold out and is gone." "Ah, why is this happening? My sister-in-law just came over and bought 2. Why did she run out of time just now?" "Yes, we didn't have much time to get here from home." Zhang Ziluo smiled and explained patiently, "It's really sold out. Maybe everyone thought it was delicious and bought more." "How can this be done? My son still wants to eat it." "Yes, my old lady also thought it was delicious and asked me to buy more." Everyone looked annoyed, and some just bought 1 or 2 to give to their families to try. The family thought it was delicious, so they came over specially to buy a few more, but they didn't expect that they would all be gone all of a sudden. Zhang Ziluo's expression changed and she said, "Don't worry, everyone, we'll go home and get ready in a minute, and we'll come back at noon." When Zhang Ziluo said this, the eyes of those people lit up. "You really came here at noon, you won't trick us, right?" "That's right, don't think that if we want to buy it, just raise the price, right?" Zhang Ziluo said warmly, "How come, sisters, aunts, and ladies, if you are willing to come and buy my things, you are taking care of my business. The leek box costs 3 cents a piece, and the price will not increase. That's okay. Is it still this place?" Zhang Ziluo said, "If we come back at noon, it may not be in this location. It may be further in, but it is all here in the market. Just look for it and you will definitely find it." Everyone felt happy after hearing this. They all felt that the little girl in front of them was very good at speaking and doing things even though she was young. She especially spoke with a smile and her voice was clear and sweet, which made people feel comfortable listening to her. Well, let's come over and buy some at noon. After everyone left, Zhang Ziluo hurriedly said to Mrs. Kui, Mom, let's go home quickly and prepare a box of leeks. We'll sell them again at noon. Make more, so we can make more money. If I make some more leek boxes at noon, I might be able to sell them for 2 taels of silver. This is not comparable to selling brown sugar and maltose. With 2 taels of silver a day, you can quickly buy land and build a house. Of course this does not include the money from selling braised food. Not to mention Zhang Ziluo being excited, even Mrs. Kui was very warm in her heart. Ziluo, we sell braised meat, we have sold 16 kilograms, and there is still some left. At the beginning, there were many people buying braised pig sesame, and many people asked about it, but there were still not many people who actually bought it. It's nothing like a leek box, there are so many people buying it. Zhang Ziluo did the math and said, including the braised food, we can still make a decent profit. Is it better to sell braised food directly? Zhang Ziluo shook her head and said, it's good, but after all, there are still a few people who buy braised pork offal. And everyone knows that it is braised with pig offal. It is estimated that someone will imitate it in a few days, so we can't just sell braised pig offal. The cost of pig offal is cheap, and those who know how to braise pig head meat will also find ways to braise pig offal, and may sell it at a cheaper price than them. In this half-morning effort, we only sold a little bit. We can't set up a stall here all day, that would be too time-consuming. And I don't know what will happen next. It's better to sell leek boxes. No one can imitate it in a short time. If we do more, we will make more money. Mrs. Kui felt that what Ziluo said made sense. What should we do? These are not sold out yet. Can we take them home with us? Zhang Ziluo said, Mom, I have a way. You forgot, I told you to cooperate with the butcher stall. In fact, it was because she had made an agreement with Lin Zuzu in advance that Zhang Ziluo planned to sell the braised meat to her on consignment. Mrs. Kui now remembered what Zhang Ziluo said last night. The two people quickly packed their things. They pushed the small dining cart to Lin Zuzu's place. When they went, Lin Zuzu was busy. After the 3 people buying meat and bones in front of her stall left, they stepped forward. Lin Zuzu was excited and happy when she saw Zhang Ziluo. Sister Zhang, you are here. Last night, she went home and told her parents about helping Sister Zhang sell braised food. Her parents were very excited. Say it's good business. We have eaten the braised pig offal made by Miss Zhang. It is really delicious and makes people forget that it is pig offal. Don't say this is a sure profit business. Even if the meat stall has more braised food, it will also get more customers. Even if they just buy braised food, they will also buy meat. It's because people trust you that they will sell things to you and give you a commission. We must be honest in doing business, and you must do it well. This is what her father said. Her father has met so many people in business and has unique views on business. It's just that her family doesn't have any secret recipe and can only do the butchery business. Even her mother sighed with emotion. Based on your description, I think this girl is a very capable person. Even her younger brother, who had read books, said, Sister, I think Sister Zhang is a person who has read books, and is what the master calls a cultured and wise person. Thinking about what she had discussed with her parents and brother last night, Lin Zuzu looked at Zhang Ziluo and felt that her whole body was glowing. End of chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Kandi. Chapter 67. Chapter 67 Cherish. When Lin Zuzu looked at Zhang Ziluo, her eyes were bright. I told my parents and brother about yesterday's events last night. My parents and brother were very supportive of my decision. Zhang Ziluo smiled and said, that's good. I brought some braised pigs to the water today, and I'll leave them here for consignment first. You can sell it today and see how it goes. If it's good, I'll cook some and sell it here on consignment every day. But in business, everyone doesn't know how the braised food is. You can let everyone try it first, which is a free taste, and everyone will eat it before buying it. Lin Zizhu is not the kind of girl who lives in a boudoir. She has been in the butchery business for a long time and can master it at a glance. She nodded and said, "Okay, I understand." She felt that few people were so generous and gave people free tastings, let alone such expensive braised food. Furthermore, it's better to do business in a more general way. The cost of braised pigs is not high, so it takes more time to weigh them. If there are more people buying, you can give away a spoonful of braised pig soup for free. Zhang Ziluo told Lin Zizhu some details. Lin Zizhu's expression changed as she felt that she had learned a lot all at once. When they were moving down the braised food, Lin Zizhu noticed Mrs. Kui. Zhang Ziluo said, "This is my mother." Lin Zizhu called out warmly and politely, "Hello, Aunt." Mrs. Kui also smiled and exchanged greetings with Lin Zizhu. After the arrangements were made, Zhang Ziluo and Mrs. Kui were ready to go home and prepare the leek box. Mrs. Kui said on the way, "This way we don't have to buy a special scale." "Will this scale be useless?" "They don't have a scale at home, so they can't weigh things." Lao Mrs. Kui borrowed it from the Li Zheng family early in the morning. "Originally I thought that if I kept doing the braised food business, I would have to weigh things, so I decided to buy one later. There is no need to buy it now." "Well, Mom, let's not weigh it for now. We can just return it to Aunt Zhu in the evening." Mrs. Kui nodded and said, "Weighing things is really inconvenient and time-consuming. When I weighed braised food, I was able to sell several chive boxes." Mrs. Kui and Zhang Ziluo went home and were very excited when they thought about the money they had earned in the middle of the morning. However, they didn't care about counting the copper coins at this moment. "Hurry up and make a leek box," Mrs. Kui said. "Ziluo, you are good at kneading the dough. You knead the dough and I will make the leeks." Zhang Ziluo also planned this, and the two of them quickly got busy. Mrs. Kui thought about the money and felt that her whole body was full of energy when she worked. She didn't hesitate and hurriedly cut leeks, picked leeks, and washed leeks. Zhang Ziluo hurriedly scooped out the dough and kneaded it. Mrs. Kui took a look and said, "Oh, there aren't too many noodles left. I'll have to buy more noodles later." Zhang Ziluo said, "Fortunately, my husband bought some last time. It's enough for today. Let's just come back in the afternoon and buy some more. Now that I have money in my hand, I can buy more food at once." Mrs. Kui nodded. "The eggs at home are no longer sold out. We keep them for home consumption and making leek boxes. Fortunately, I saved some eggs during this period. In fact, it only takes a few eggs to make a large pot of leek boxes. Just need some noodles." The leek box made by Zhang Ziluo has a thin skin and lots of stuffing, which also saves noodles. Zhang Ziluo nodded and said, "Well, this way you don't have to buy eggs. I thought it would be better to hatch some chicks, so that if there are more hens, they can lay more eggs. Eggs are a good thing, there is no need to have too many of them." Mrs. Kui naturally agreed. "In the past, the family didn't have enough food, so we only got 2 hens. Now that the conditions are better, we can really get more hens to lay eggs, but the hatched chicks will have roosters. You can also kill the stewed chicken and eat it after a few months." With this plan in mind, the two of them quickly made a leek box. Zhang Ziluo worked quickly. By the time the two of them had wrapped the box of leeks, more than an hour had passed. Zhang Ziluo looked at the sun and counted the time. It was almost 11 o'clock. When we arrived in town, it should be almost 11:30. When she was about to go out, Mrs. Kui looked at the corner and said, "There is not enough firewood." Zhang Ziluo said, "I don't care about firewood now. I'll ask my neighbors in the village and buy some from them first. The firewood sold in the town will be more expensive, but if you buy it from the villagers, it should be cheaper. Mrs. Kui said, I'm going to your Aunt Zhu's house. There are a lot of firewood piled in her yard. I just need to return the scale. Mrs. Kui went to Li Zheng's house, and Mrs. Zhu happened to be there. Zhu's two sons are strong enough to work, but they don't need much of Zhu's work on weekdays. Mrs. Kui made a trip, and when she came back, she brought a large bundle of firewood. Then they went to the town. When they went there were people occupying the stall for them in the empty space where they were. Little lady, hurry up, come here. Zhang Ziluo and Mrs. Kui were both stunned. They didn't recognize the people in the two stalls next to the stall in the morning. Sister, the stall is reserved for you, come here. Zhang Ziluo and Mrs. Kui walked over with some confusion. This stall is really good and easy to identify. Oh, you're here, a lot of people just came over and asked about your chai box, saying it's delicious. You are here, and the business of our stalls has improved a lot. There were a lot of people coming here, and they were all planning to buy groceries. Looking at the things on their stalls, they all bought some. Besides, the food business of the mother and daughter does not conflict with or affect the things they sell. On the contrary, it can drive their business, so they naturally want them to come and set up a stall. Zhang Ziluo thanked her with a smile. After lighting a fire and frying the leek boxes, he gave one to everyone at the two stalls. Oh, how can this be so embarrassing, it's only 3 cents apiece. An old lady's mouth was watering when she smelled the fragrance. She has been smelling it all morning. But because it cost 3 cents each, she was still reluctant to buy it, and she resisted the temptation of the fragrance. I didn't expect that the little lady was so good, so I gave it to her directly. The old lady was very happy and refused for a while. But she couldn't refuse, so she took it. At another stall was a young couple, aged 16 or 17, who set up a stall to sell some dried fruits. While selling things, the young lady would also sit there and do some embroidery, making sachets and embroidering handkerchiefs. Zhang Ziluo gave one to the young couple, but the young couple were reluctant to eat it. You pushed me to give it, but neither of them wanted to eat it alone. Later, the two of them ate it together. Looking at their appearance, Zhang Ziluo's heart moved. She couldn't help but think of the previous life in ancient times. When he rescued her on the way back, there was not much food, so he said he had eaten and let her eat. I was reluctant to eat any of the wild fruits I picked in the mountains and forests, leaving them only for her to eat. She loves her so much. Zhang Ziluo's eyelashes trembled, she lowered her head and slowly suppressed her emotions. She said, Mom, I'll fry a few first and send them to my husband for lunch at school. End of this chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fengyuan Candy. Chapter 68. Mrs. Kui was a little touched when she heard this. She almost forgot about her son's lunch, but she didn't expect Ziluo to remember it despite being so busy. Okay, I'll look after the stall and fry the leek box. Mrs. Kui can fry leek boxes and knows how to make them. At this moment, someone came over. An old lady held her grandson's hand and looked at the stall and said, Oh, little girl, we came just in time. The frying is almost done. I just happened to buy 6. A little woman behind said, There is also me, I will buy 4. Zhang Ziluo explained softly, These 6 in this pot are not for sale. If you want to buy them, you have to wait for the next pot. Zhang Ziluo put 6 of them in this pot so that they could be delivered to Kui Hejin later. The old lady said unhappily, Ah, didn't you put 6 of them? Why can't I just wait for the next pot if I buy 6? We agreed in advance, first come, first served. Mrs. Kui was squatting to light the fire. When she heard the sound, she suddenly became angry. She quickly stood up to protect Zhang Ziluo. Zhang Ziluo stopped Mrs. Kui, shook her head, then smiled and explained patiently to the lady, "That's it, my husband teaches in a school, it's quite hard. I'm worried that he'll be hungry, so I thought I'd fry it first. Send it to him." "I'm so sorry, I'll fry you first in the next pot." Zhang Ziluo spoke gently and gently, without being impatient or impatient. She also had a smile on her face, which made the aunt's anger dissipate. She looked at Zhang Ziluo and was surprised. "Oh, my dear, you are already married and have a husband-in-law." Zhang Ziluo smiled and nodded, "Yeah. That's right, my old lady likes to see young couples who are harmonious. You will know how to love your father-in-law as soon as you see her. My little daughter-in-law also knows how to love others, which is very good." The old lady thought of her son and daughter-in-law. Her eldest daughter-in-law only cares about herself. Her eldest son goes to work and comes back late without even caring about her. She had a headache just thinking about it, but fortunately, her daughter-in-law knew how to care for others, and she had a harmonious relationship with her son. The two of them lived a comfortable life, so she didn't have to worry. So the old lady felt good about Zhang Ziluo. Zhang Ziluo's lips raised slightly and she said, "My husband is very good. Although he doesn't say anything, he is actually the most caring person." The old lady laughed when she heard what Zhang Ziluo said. Then she looked at Mrs. Kui and understood immediately, "This is your daughter-in-law. She is beautiful and capable. Having a daughter-in-law like this will make the family prosperous." Mrs. Kui's smile almost overflowed from her eyes. "No, this child is great. Ever since she married my son, life at home has gotten better." If Mrs. Kui could praise Zhang Ziluo, she would have endless things to say. Looking at the old lady's expression, the old lady nodded in her heart. The mother-in-law can handle things clearly, and the daughter-in-law is smart and capable. This family is very good. Someone behind him was stunned when he heard these words. "Ah, it's not a little girl, it's a young lady. She's getting married. Looks very small. She must be 15 years old, that's when she has haircut. Such a beautiful little girl is getting married. This is mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. I thought they were mother and daughter. I was thinking about my son coming back from Fukan and asking him what he thought. There is a son in the family who is of the right age to get married. Seeing that Zhang Ziluo is beautiful, good-tempered, and capable, I can't help but have some thoughts." Mrs. Kui listened to everyone's discussion and felt a very serious sense of crisis in her heart. "No, you must talk to He-jin when you go back and ask him to treat Ziluo well. Didn't you see that Ziluo is so popular?" Zhang Ziluo laughed off everyone's jokes. The box of leeks was ready, so she quickly wrapped it up and hurried to the school. Mrs. Kui stood in front of the stall, looking at Zhang Ziluo who was hurrying away, her eyes filled with heat. This kid is so nice. She was relieved that her son could marry such a good wife. Graphite School. Zhang Ziluo walked very fast and even started running behind her. She was afraid that she would be late and make Kui Hejin hungry. But when she came, the school had not ended yet. Zhang Ziluo breathed a sigh of relief and waited at the door. The boy already knew Zhang Ziluo. When he saw her, he hurriedly said, "Mrs. Kui, you are here to see Mr. Kui." Zhang Ziluo smiled and nodded, "Yeah. Then I'll go in and talk to Master Kui." Zhang Ziluo waved her hands and said, "It's better to say goodbye. Don't affect his class. I have nothing to do anyway, so I'll just wait here for a while." Although Zhang Ziluo was anxious to go back to fry and sell leek boxes, in her heart, nothing was as important as Kui Hejin. So she waited patiently at the door. The boy scratched the back of his head, confused. Zhang Ziluo stood under a big tree. The spring wind blew past her cheeks with a hint of warmth and blew the broken hair around her ears. It seemed that the sound of reading aloud in the school could also be heard. At this moment, her heart became peaceful and peaceful. Perhaps she can always feel at ease where he is. She felt that the blue sky was very blue, The air she breathed was so fresh, and the sunshine was so bright. After a while, the school ended, and the laughter of children could be heard inside. The boy looked at Mrs. Kui, who was quietly following a painting, but he still went inside and spoke to Kui Hejin. After class, Kui Hejin was not in a hurry to leave the classroom. Instead, he was slowly sorting out the lesson plans at his desk. Just at this moment, the boy came in and said, "Mr. Kui." Kui Hejin whispered, "Well, what's the matter?" "Master Kui, your wife is here to see you." Hearing these words, Kui Hejin paused in his movements and raised his picturesque eyes. The boy looked at Master Kui's expression change and thought to himself, knowing that the cold Master Kui must care about his wife. "Master Kui, your wife came here 2/4 of an hour ago and was waiting at the door. I asked her to come in and call you, but she refused because she was afraid of disturbing your class, so she kept waiting at the door." Kui Hejin was worried that something had happened, so he hurried out without caring about sorting out the lesson plans and students' homework. When he came to the door and saw Zhang Ziluo's figure, his expression changed slightly. Zhang Ziluo, on the other hand, kept looking at the door. When she saw Kui Hejin, she felt that his figure was like the breeze of bamboo dew, and his breath was like the spring rain of apricot blossoms, warm and elegant. The moment she saw him, Zhang Ziluo smiled crookedly and walked over with brisk steps. Kui Hejin walked a few steps toward her, looked down at her, and asked softly, "But what happened to the stall?" Zhang Ziluo's expression dimmed and she pouted, "If nothing happens, I can't come to you." Hearing these words, Kui Hejin probably understood that nothing was wrong, and he felt slightly relieved. Zhang Ziluo blinked and looked at him, seeming a little aggrieved. He looked at her eyes that were full of autumn water, as if she could speak. He was silent for a moment and said softly, "No, don't think about it." End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 69. Zhang Ziluo knew that he looked cold, but he was actually very talkative. Zhang Ziluo smiled softly, handed the oil paper bag in her hand to Kui Hejin and said, "This is a box of freshly fried leeks. I'll make it for you for lunch." Kui Hejin lowered his head and looked at the large oil paper bag handed over by Zhang Ziluo. It could be seen that there were many boxes of leeks in it. When she looked at him, her eyes seemed to be filled with thousands of stars, with a fine luster and a look of joy. Kui Hejin's eyelashes trembled slightly, and when he looked down at her, there seemed to be a soft light like the warm spring in it. He reached out and took it. "Thank you for your hard work." Zhang Ziluo raised her lips slightly and said, "How can it be hard to deliver food to you? Besides, my mother and I set up a stall at the market, so it's easy to come over and deliver food." Zhang Ziluo doesn't want Kui Hejin to have any psychological burden. Kui Hejin sighed softly, "Silly girl." Zhang Ziluo didn't understand, and murmured softly. Kui Hejin didn't say anything. He just saw that a strand of her hair was messed up by the wind. He stretched out his slender jade-like fingers and gently arranged it for her and tucked it behind her ear. The movements were very gentle, with a hint of coldness and restraint, and the fingers were careful not to touch her skin. But even so, the two of them were very close to each other, and Zhang Ziluo could smell the elegant and subtle fragrance of Kui Hejin's body with every breath. It also has a faint fragrance of ink, which is very charming and seems to make people easily intoxicated. Zhang Ziluo's heart beat several times uncontrollably, and she felt a throbbing feeling. When she raised her head, she encountered his charming and focused expression, which seemed to be filled with layers of smoke and mist, making it difficult for people to see her true emotions. Even so, she felt like she was being charmed, and her heart felt strangely numb. Kui Hejin asked in a low voice, Are you tired? I'll go over and help. Zhang Ziluo quickly waved her hands and said, No, no, the stall is very small, and the small dining cart is also very small. If there are too many people, we can't stand apart. You can just rest in the school. Zhang Ziluo knew that he was actually very busy in school. He had to sort out lesson plans and read books at noon. Besides, I'm just frying some leeks, so I'm not tired. Remember to eat well, I'm going to the market first. Speaking, Zhang Ziluo waved her hand to Kui Hejin and walked towards the market. Kui Hejin looked at her figure and did not come back to his senses for a long time. It was not until her figure disappeared at the entrance of the alley that Kui Hejin returned to the school. Zhang Ziluo walked quickly towards the market, but it was already noon and there were more people on the street. Many people working in the town went to buy lunch, and some found a corner to sit down and eat some solid food. Brother Shan, stop eating dry food, you have a stomachache these days, so just eat dry food with cold water. That's right, Brother Shan, we are doing strenuous work, so we should have something good to eat at noon, otherwise our body can't bear it. How about you go to the market and buy some hot buns? The man called Brother Shan said a little feebly, with our food, 2 buns are just enough to fill our stomachs. We work hard to earn 20 or 30 pennies a day. Sometimes we have no work to do, and we don't have much copper in a day. It only costs 6 pennies to buy 2 plain stuffed buns, let alone eat noodles. That's all more than 10 cents a bowl. No, nothing in the town is cheap. My mother felt sorry for me and brought me an egg for lunch. Eating pickles every day is not an option. It would be nice if I could have something to eat with solid food. That stewed rice dish is so expensive, who can afford it? When Zhang Ziluo was walking towards the market, she passed by the entrance of an alley and saw several strong men sitting on a log in a corner. They were eating solid food with their heads down. Since they had nothing to eat, they could only eat dry food and drink water. However, in the early spring, the weather was still a bit cold, so drinking cold water directly was not good for the body. But things with soup noodles and wontons cost at least more than 10 cents a bowl, so they would not buy them at all. When Zhang Ziluo saw this scene, she felt a little sad. She realized that there were still many ordinary people working in the town. They are reluctant to even buy steamed buns. There is nothing to eat, so eating dry food like that is really hard to swallow. But even so, they still need to eat enough to ensure they have enough energy to work in the afternoon. Zhang Ziluo thought about these, thoughtfully. When they arrived at the market, more than 10 people gathered in front of their stall, seemingly waiting to buy a box of leeks. Mrs. Kui is busy. Zhang Ziluo went over and said, Mom, I'm back. Mrs. Kui smiled and said, a lot of them have been sold. Mrs. Kui couldn't remember how many pots she had. She only remembered that she had no time to spare and there were many people buying chive boxes. Mom, take a break first, and I'll fry it. Mrs. Kui said happily, it's okay, I'm full of energy. Business is booming and she works hard. Besides, this kind of work is not tiring at all, and it is incomparable with the hard work of working in the fields. She was very excited as she kept collecting copper coins. Zhang Ziluo looked at Mrs. Kui's energetic look and smiled softly. She helped light the fire and collect the copper coins, while Mrs. Kui was responsible for frying the leek box. Because there is no braised food in the stall, they don't have to work twice at once, and they don't have to explain so much to customers, which makes it a lot easier. Mom, you eat first and rest your stomach. Mrs. Kui was so busy that she didn't even care about eating. It's okay. I ate a lot in the morning and I'm not hungry at all now. When Mrs. Kui spoke, her hands were not idle. Her thoughts now are all about working as hard as possible and earning more copper coins. Zhang Ziluo insisted, Mom, your health is important. If you are exhausted, no one will help me set up a stall. Even though you can't feel anything now, over time, your body will definitely be unable to bear it. Zhang Ziluo has been with MRSQE for a long time, so she naturally knows what she will listen to. Upon hearing this, MRSQE felt a little relieved. She really needed to eat for her health. Don't wait until then, and she still needs Ziluo to take care of her. She won't be able to help Ziluo. That's alright, mother will eat first. Zhang Ziluo took the shovel and started working, while MRSQE took a leek box and ate next to it. She eats this way, which has a more direct effect of mukbang. When the onlookers saw it, they bought more. There are many people at the market at noon. People who live in the town and people who come to work in the town come here to buy things. There are also more strong men and young men. But the most they can do is take a stroll to see if there is any cheap food. If it is not available, they will not buy it. Everyone walked around in twos and threes and watched. Some people also came over to look at the leek box. This box of leeks looks so delicious. But it's a bit small with our appetite, we must eat 4 or 5. No, it's too expensive. Everyone can buy one and have a taste. Oh, cow egg, why don't you buy it? Are you just trying to save money to buy pearl flowers for your wife? The group of people were laughing and cheering, and the faces of those who were called Niyuden were a little pale. He hesitated but didn't buy it and waited for everyone nearby. But after a while, he suddenly fell to the ground with a stomachache and cold sweat on his face. Oh, look, what's wrong with him? End of chapter. The space doctor became the favorite of the exiled powerful minister. Author, Fenyuan Candy. Chapter 70. When someone exclaimed, everyone around them reacted. The 3 young men who were originally planning to buy the leek box changed their expressions when they saw this scene. Niu Dan, what's wrong with you? Niudan, you don't have a stomachache again, do you? Hurry, send him to the hospital quickly. At this time, the one called Niudan was in so much pain that he could not speak. As soon as everyone moved the cow egg was shaking all over with pain, and sweat kept coming out on his face. At this time, the people gathered in front of Zhang Ziluo's stall suddenly dispersed, leaving a large open space. Hurry up and call the doctor, this is going to kill someone. What's going on? Is it because I ate something bad? I didn't listen to what those people said just now. He didn't eat anything. He must be hungry. There were old people in the village who died of starvation like this before. When the onlookers said this, everyone became even more frightened. But those young men from the same village as Niu Dan wanted to move Niu Dan, but when they moved him, he seemed to be shaking even more in pain. Niudan, what's wrong with you? Don't be scary. We can't move him, go and call the doctor quickly. Zhang Ziluo also saw the scene in front of her. Her expression changed and she quickly took out the set of acupuncture silver needles and went to the front. Don't move him yet, I'll show him. At first, everyone was at a loss, but when they saw the girl in front of them, they were all stunned. Originally, everyone shouldn't believe her, but I don't know why she makes people feel convincing when she speaks. Zhang Ziluo quickly took Niu Dan's pulse and checked the situation. Zhang Ziluo quickly took out the silver needle and pricked the cow's egg a few times. After a while, the cow stopped shaking and her face looked a little better. He looked at the girl in front of him with red eyes and said, "Thank you, girl, I don't feel so much pain anymore. Although it still hurts, it's not the same painful feeling as before." He thought he was going to die just now. It really hurts so much. When Niu Dan said this, everyone around him was in an uproar. No, this girl actually knows medical skills. How come she has medical skills? There are only male doctors, there are no female doctors. Her family actually asked her to study medicine. What's wrong with the female doctor? Female doctors also save people. If this girl hadn't helped just now, this person would have died. And the girl didn't do anything. Yes, I just pricked him with the needle a few times, and I used a handkerchief to cover my pulse. This is a good thing to treat illnesses and save people. This girl even helped people get back their stolen money bags before. We support her, but we don't allow others to say bad things about her. Zhang Ziluo knew that people in this era had some prejudice against female doctors, so when she checked someone's pulse in front of everyone, she covered it with a handkerchief and never touched the egg. However, some people who are prejudiced also support her. Niu Dan and the others are very grateful to Zhang Ziluo. Thank you girl, thank you girl. They all came from the same village to work, and they were all relatives in the village. If Niu Dan dies, they don't know how to get back to the village. At this moment, the doctor from Exiled Pavilion came over. It's Dr. Chiu. Dr. Chiu will have a solution when he comes. Dr. Chiu is the best doctor in the town. He was also a military doctor in the past and worked as a doctor in the capital. Later, he followed the Xiaodong family to work in the Exiled Pavilion in the town. As soon as Dr. Chiu saw Zhang Ziluo, he recognized her immediately. Miss Zhang, it's you. Dr. Chiu was a confidant of Xiaodong's Zhuang Xing'an, so he naturally knew about Miss Jiang's medical skills. What's more, Ms. Zhang once saved a little boy on the spot and saved the reputation of their medical clinic. Zhang Ziluo nodded towards Dr. Chiu. Dr. Chiu examined the cow egg and said, "Thanks to Miss Zhang for saving me just now. Otherwise, you would have been dead if you hadn't been able to hold me back." Dr. Chiu is the most authoritative doctor in the town. Everyone does not believe what he says. At this meeting, everyone looked at Zhang Ziluo even more differently. I didn't expect that she really has medical skills. She just saved someone. This little lady has helped people before, but she is a kind and good person. We just bought the chai box she made. Such a good person, we must support her business. What kind of doctor can a girl learn from? What's wrong with the girl's family? If the girl's family can do business, she can't be a doctor. Saving people is a good thing. You are also a woman, how can you look down on women? Ms. Kui said even more seriously, my daughter-in-law saving a life is better than building a 7-level pagoda. Why is she being looked down upon? If someone says something wrong about my daughter-in-law, and if there is an emergency, my daughter-in-law will not be kind enough to take care of it. My daughter-in-law does whatever she wants, and she doesn't eat from your family. Do you care? In the eyes of my son, my daughter-in-law is also the best, and it doesn't matter what others say. When Ms. Kui was angry, she released her aura, which shocked others. That unsociable voice was instantly covered up. Same, my mother-in-law and husband-in-law don't mind, no matter what they say. Besides, people did save people's lives, which is indeed a good thing. Some people were ashamed and lowered their heads and stopped talking. Some people think that this mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are really good, and everyone is willing to support their business, not to mention that the things they make are good. Oh, sister, little lady, I was just at the front of the line and said I wanted to buy 4 leek boxes. And me, I want to buy 8. There are many people in the family and there is plenty to eat. Everyone immediately gathered in front of the stall again, talking about buying a leek box. Ms. Kui and Zhang Ziluo also instantly got into business mode, talking to everyone with smiles, as if the tense atmosphere just now was not at all. Zhang Ziluo smiled and said, "Madam, I have remembered it. It is frying. It will be ready soon." In one noon, they sold more than 300 chai boxes. When closing the stall, Ms. Kui smiled from ear to ear and said, "Ziluo, including the chai boxes in the morning, we sold a total of 500 or 600, which is almost 2 taels of silver." Ms. Kui couldn't hide her excitement just thinking about it. This is easier and more energetic than making brown sugar. This time I am frying leeks and selling them to make money, which makes me feel even more passionate. And this is only a whole morning's work. We can still have some free time in the afternoon. If we sell brown sugar maltos, We will be busy all day. Selling things in the morning and going home to do it in the afternoon, until dark, no time at all. The income earned is not as much as that earned from selling leaks boxes. The key is that the cost of leak boxes is also low. Are we still selling leaks boxes tomorrow? Zhang Ziluo smiled and said, well, we have been selling leak boxes during this period, but we don't have much noodles at home. Let's buy more noodles first so that we can make more tomorrow. I still have eggs at home, so there's no need to buy more. Mrs. Kui thought for a while and said with some worry, there are still some leeks in the yard, but they will be gone after a few days of cutting. It will take some time for them to grow again. She was worried that there were not enough leeks. End of chapter.